Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. First moment, the discovery in the cave. In the bustling city of Baghdad, there lived a poor tailor's son named Aladdin. He was a mischievous boy who spent his days playing in the streets rather than learning his father's trade. When his father died, Aladdin and his mother were left with nothing but their small, humble home and barely enough money for food. One day, as Aladdin wandered through the marketplace, a stranger approached him. The man was tall and richly dressed, with a long black beard and piercing eyes. He claimed to be Aladdin's uncle, his father's long-lost brother who had been traveling in distant lands. "My dear nephew," the stranger exclaimed, embracing Aladdin warmly. "I have searched for you for so long. I am your Uncle Maghrib, and I have returned with great wealth from my travels. Let me take care of you and your mother." Aladdin, who had never heard of this uncle, was nevertheless delighted by the man's generosity. The stranger showered gifts upon them and promised to make Aladdin a wealthy merchant. But this man was no uncle at all. He was a powerful sorcerer from the distant lands of Maghrib, and he had come to Baghdad for one purpose alone. The next morning, the sorcerer took Aladdin far outside the city, past hills and valleys, until they reached a desolate mountain. There, the sorcerer gathered dry wood and lit a fire, throwing strange powders into the flames while chanting mysterious words in an ancient language. The ground began to tremble and shake, and suddenly, a large stone slab appeared in the earth, with a brass ring embedded in its center. "Aladdin, my boy," the sorcerer said, his voice trembling with excitement, "beneath this stone lies a treasure that is destined for you alone. No one else can retrieve it. It must be you who goes down into the cave." Aladdin stared at the stone in wonder and fear. The sorcerer grasped the brass ring and lifted the heavy slab, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. The air that rose from the opening was cool and mysterious, carrying with it the scent of ancient secrets. "Listen carefully," the sorcerer instructed, placing his hands firmly on Aladdin's shoulders. "You must descend these stairs and pass through 3 great halls filled with gold and silver. Do not touch any of it, not even a single coin, or you will be turned to stone instantly. Beyond the 3rd hall, you will find a garden with a small alcove. There, on a simple stone shelf, sits an old oil lamp. Take only that lamp and return to me immediately." As an afterthought, he slipped a magical ring onto Aladdin's finger. "This will protect you from harm," he said. With his heart pounding, Aladdin descended into the mysterious cave. Just as the sorcerer had described, he passed through 3 magnificent halls overflowing with treasures beyond imagination, chests of gold coins, strings of perfect pearls, precious gems that sparkled like stars, and artifacts of incredible beauty. The temptation was enormous, but remembering the warning, Aladdin kept his hands to himself and pressed forward. In the garden beyond, he found the lamp exactly where the sorcerer had said it would be. It was old and tarnished, looking quite ordinary and worthless compared to all the treasures he had seen. But as he picked it up, Aladdin noticed that the garden was filled with trees bearing fruit that looked like colorful jewels. Unable to resist, he filled his pockets with these beautiful fruits, not knowing they were actually precious gems of incredible value. When Aladdin returned to the cave opening, the sorcerer was waiting anxiously at the top. "Give me the lamp," he demanded urgently, reaching down toward the boy. "First help me out of this cave," Aladdin replied, suddenly feeling suspicious of the man's eagerness. "Give me the lamp first," the sorcerer shouted, his friendly mask falling away to reveal his true, evil nature. "Help me up first, then I'll give you the lamp," Aladdin insisted. In his fury and impatience, the sorcerer spoke the words of power and sealed the cave entrance with the stone, trapping Aladdin inside. The false uncle had revealed his true purpose. He was a dark magician who had traveled across the world seeking this particular lamp, which he knew contained unimaginable power. But the magic of the cave was such that only an innocent person could retrieve it, which was why he needed Aladdin. Now, in his anger, he had trapped the very person who could have given him what he sought. Middle of journey, the genie and the palace. Left alone in the pitch-black cave, Aladdin felt overwhelmed with despair. He was trapped far underground with no way out, and his false uncle had abandoned him to die. In his distress, he clasped his hands together in prayer, and as he did so, he accidentally rubbed the magical ring the sorcerer had given him. Suddenly, with a sound like thunder, an enormous genie appeared before him, the genie of the ring. The creature was massive and fearsome, with smoke swirling around his form and eyes like burning coals. "I am the slave of the ring," the genie announced in a voice that echoed through the cavern. "Whoever wears the ring is my master. What do you wish of me?" "Please," Aladdin gasped, hardly able to believe what he was seeing, "get me out of this cave." Instantly, Aladdin found himself standing in the bright sunlight outside the cave, with the entrance once again sealed behind him. The genie had vanished, and Aladdin was left holding the old lamp, wondering if he had dreamed the entire encounter. Hungry and exhausted, Aladdin made his way home to his mother, who had been sick with worry. He told her everything that had happened, and together they examined the old lamp he had brought back. "This dirty old thing," his mother said dismissively. "Well, perhaps I can clean it up and sell it for a few coins to buy us some food." As she began to rub the lamp with a cloth, there was another tremendous roar, and smoke began pouring from the spout. The smoke swirled and condensed into an even more magnificent genie than the first, larger, more powerful, with a voice like rolling thunder. "I am the genie of the lamp," he proclaimed, bowing low before them. "I have been imprisoned in that lamp for 1,000 years. Whoever holds the lamp is my master, and I will grant their every wish. What do you desire?" Aladdin and his mother were speechless with amazement. Finally, Aladdin found his voice. "We are hungry. Could you bring us some food?" The genie clapped his hands, and instantly a magnificent feast appeared before them: roasted meats, fresh bread, exotic fruits, and sweet delicacies, all served on plates of pure gold. From that day forward, Aladdin and his mother lived in comfort, with the genie providing everything they needed. But Aladdin's life changed completely when he saw Princess Badroulbadour, the Sultan's daughter, on her way to the baths. She was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, with eyes like stars and grace like a gazelle. He fell in love with her instantly and knew he had to marry her. When Aladdin asked his mother to approach the Sultan with a marriage proposal, she laughed at the impossibility of it. But Aladdin had a plan. He instructed his mother to take the jewel fruits he had gathered in the cave as a gift for the Sultan. When the Sultan saw these incredible gems, rubies, emeralds, diamonds, and sapphires of impossible size and clarity, he was astounded. No one had ever presented him with such magnificent gifts. Impressed by this display of wealth, he agreed to the marriage, but on one condition: the suitor must build a palace worthy of his daughter within 3 days. Aladdin returned home and summoned the genie of the lamp. "Build me the most magnificent palace the world has ever seen," he commanded, "with gardens more beautiful than paradise and rooms filled with every luxury." In a single night, the genie constructed a palace of unparalleled splendor. It was built from the finest marble and precious stones, with walls of gold and silver, fountains of crystal, and gardens filled with rare flowers and singing birds. When the Sultan saw this miraculous palace, he was convinced that Aladdin must be the most powerful prince in the world. The wedding was celebrated for many days and nights, and Aladdin and Princess Badroulbadour were blissfully happy. They lived in their magical palace, beloved by the people for their kindness and generosity. Last moment, the sorcerer's return and final victory. For several years, Aladdin and his wife lived in perfect happiness. But far away in the lands of Maghrib, the evil sorcerer learned through his magic arts that Aladdin was still alive and had become wealthy and powerful through the lamp. Consumed with rage and jealousy, he traveled back to Baghdad to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. The sorcerer disguised himself as a humble merchant selling new lamps for old ones, crying out in the marketplace, "New lamps for old. Who will trade their old lamps for new ones?" People laughed at what seemed like a foolish bargain, but the sorcerer's plan was clever. He had discovered that Aladdin kept the magic lamp in his palace, and he hoped to trick someone into giving it to him. Princess Badroulbadour, who knew nothing of the lamp's true power, heard the merchant's call and thought it would be amusing to trade away an old, tarnished lamp she had seen in Aladdin's chambers. She had no idea she was trading away the source of all their happiness and power. The moment the sorcerer's hands touched the magic lamp, he rubbed it eagerly. When the mighty genie appeared, the sorcerer commanded, "Transport this entire palace, with everyone in it, to the deserts of Maghrib." In an instant, the magnificent palace, along with Princess Badroulbadour and all the servants, vanished from Baghdad and reappeared in the sorcerer's homeland. When Aladdin returned home that evening, he found nothing but an empty lot where his palace had stood. The Sultan was furious, believing that Aladdin had used trickery and magic to deceive him. He gave Aladdin 40 days to return his daughter, or face execution. Heartbroken and desperate, Aladdin wandered the streets in despair, not knowing how to find his beloved wife or their stolen palace. In his anguish, he rubbed his hands together in prayer, and once again activated the ring the sorcerer had given him so long ago. The genie of the ring appeared before him. "I cannot bring back the palace," the ring genie explained, "for that is under the power of the lamp genie, who is stronger than I. But I can transport you to where your wife is imprisoned." Instantly, Aladdin found himself in the courtyard of his own palace, now sitting in the middle of a barren desert. Through a window, he saw Princess Badroulbadour, pale and frightened but unharmed. That night, he managed to sneak into the palace and reunite with his wife. "The evil sorcerer keeps the lamp with him always," she whispered. "He has asked me to marry him, but I have refused. He grows more angry each day." Together, they devised a plan. Princess Badroulbadour would pretend to have accepted the sorcerer's proposal and invite him to a celebration dinner. During the meal, she would offer him wine mixed with a powerful sleeping powder that Aladdin had obtained. The plan worked perfectly. The sorcerer, overjoyed that the princess had finally agreed to marry him, drank the drugged wine eagerly and fell into a deep, magical sleep. Aladdin crept from his hiding place and carefully removed the lamp from the sorcerer's robes. As soon as he rubbed the lamp, the genie of the lamp appeared, bowing deeply. "Master, I am glad to serve you once again. The sorcerer commanded me against my will, but you are my true master. Transport our palace back to Baghdad immediately," Aladdin commanded, "and take us far away from this evil place." In the blink of an eye, the palace was back in its original location in Baghdad, as if it had never left. The Sultan rejoiced to see his daughter safe and sound, and Aladdin was welcomed back as a hero. As for the evil sorcerer, he awakened to find himself alone in the desert, with no palace, no lamp, and no power. His greed and cruelty had cost him everything, and he wandered the wasteland for the rest of his days, a broken and defeated man. Aladdin and Princess Badroulbadour lived happily for many years, using the genie's power wisely to help their people and bring prosperity to their kingdom. Aladdin had learned that true wealth comes not from magic, but from love, courage, and using one's gifts to help others. When the old sultan died, Aladdin became the new ruler, and he governed with such wisdom and justice that he was beloved throughout the land. The magic lamp remained hidden safely away, brought out only when the kingdom faced great need, and always used for the good of the people rather than personal gain. The moral of the story. Aladdin's tale teaches us several important life lessons. True worth comes from character, not circumstances. Aladdin began as a poor, idle boy, but through his adventures he developed courage, wisdom, and compassion. His true transformation was not magical but personal. Beware of those who offer easy solutions. The sorcerer appeared to offer Aladdin everything he wanted, but had selfish motives. We should be cautious of people who promise us great rewards without any apparent reason. Greed and impatience lead to downfall. The sorcerer's greed made him impatient, causing him to trap the very person who could have given him what he wanted. His evil intentions ultimately led to his defeat. Love and loyalty triumph over magic. Aladdin's love for his wife and her loyalty to him were stronger than all the sorcerer's magical power. Their partnership and mutual trust saved them both. Power should be used responsibly. Once Aladdin gained the genie's power, he used it not just for personal gain but to help others and improve his kingdom. True leadership means serving others, not just oneself. Resourcefulness and cleverness matter more than strength. Aladdin defeated the powerful sorcerer not through force, but through careful planning and cleverness, showing that intelligence and strategy can overcome brute power. Good triumphs over evil. Despite all the sorcerer's magical knowledge and evil schemes, goodness, love, and justice ultimately prevailed. The story reminds us that while external advantages can be helpful, our character, relationships, and moral choices are what truly determine our fate and happiness in life.